we have had a really good conversation about inbound, different verticals, why it's important, speed to lead. I thought this would be a really fun little, I guess, work. I don't want to say experiment, but I can't think of the word right now. For everybody on the call, exercise. There we go. Fun little exercise for everybody on the call here to go through. Should I even automate? Is this something that that you should do? So the first thing, is it taking you more than 5 minutes to reply? The second, are there fewer than 5 to 12 follow-ups? Are your salespeople just going for the next shiny object? Is there no lead scoring gate? Are you just essentially letting everything go through, and are your salespeople working on things that maybe don't matter or maybe aren't really qualified? Are shoppers or people that are potential customers or partners, are they waiting more than 10 minutes? Like we talked about before, almost 80% buy from the first responder. Or do you have a system in place with manual routing and handoffs? Or is it manual routing and handoffs, right? Is it taking time? And finally, are leads going untouched? Do you have a Go High Level or Salesforce or a HubSpot, and can you run a report and see that there's dozens and dozens, sometimes, God forbid, hundreds of leads that were never touched? Is that a reality for you? So we'll give you guys another couple seconds here to count up how many of these that you're going through, and then we could maybe go through what these scores mean.
Yeah, I'm just going through them myself. Luckily for most of the stuff is pretty good. I still don't have reps working 24/7 for sure. We're most of our business does come from specific regions right now.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, naturally, as the business grows, like in our case, right, as our business grows, you will bump into kind of these issues, like, so the first one being reply right over 5 times. So I do expect I will have issues as I kind of progress, even though I have a few automations running and stuff like that. But some of them do rely still like on what they call the augmentation kind of side of things. We still have humans also on the inbound front. But so I'm gonna give you kind of one thing that kind of we're thinking of. So we like our customers can call us, can call the sales rep,
Yep.
Right, like live on the site right now even. But naturally humans go to bed and then you can't call them, right? So there's definitely missed opportunity. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, kind of back of my head, that I do get leads around the clock, but I'm not always there. My team is not always there to service them. Even though, yeah, you can write to us, whatever, but like I always wish that there would be, the agentic system that would, kind of cater for, the moments when humans are not around, right? So that you don't have this sort of leaky bucket, right? So, yeah, because we are advertising as well, and right now we're advertising, during specific time frames. So we are spending money, paid media,
Sure.
stuff like that. We're advertising your specific time frame when the humans are actually around, and then when they're not around, we actually switch off the ads. So
Yeah, we see that a lot too. Yeah.
and I want to run the ads around the clock, but then I don't have the humans around the clock. That's the problem, right? That's the problem that I have personally right now. And again, like I think this is not just me. This is thousands and millions of businesses out there that also get business outside of the typical working hours, and they're not serving that business.
It is very common. Sorry for cutting off there. Were you still saying something? I apologize.
No. That's just saying that I wish I would be running 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and the technology exists, luckily, right? There's agentic tools that are very close to human, that essentially start that customer journey on the right foot, by being agentic and having conversations. And we see that all the time. You're not the only one. We see a lot of people, a lot of business owners, small and large, that turn off ads after a certain time or during a certain period, because people are off, right? End of year, people are all off. You're not going to get the same returns. So,
do you see any differences, by the way? One question, because that definitely applies in B2B, and I think there's also differences in B2C. Do you see differences between desktop and mobile?
In respect to what?
I guess like response times, or like how people like that they're struggling on mobile, for example. So I'll give you an example. So we're in B2B, right? And when a user comes to our website on mobile, I actually don't expect them to even sign up to my software. Reason being is our software is not even optimized for mobile, and it's not meant to be used on a mobile device. Um, and what a lot of companies actually do in that case is they actually block the mobile experience in full, because they know that the software is not optimized for mobile. So when they detect that that the user comes from a mobile device and is trying to sign up to a software, it tells them, please check out the software on desktop. Naturally, on B2C, the mobile experience is more optimized, but I'm just curious, do you see any differences between devices when it comes to inbound?
Yeah, that's a really insightful question. I'd have to think about that, but this is completely unrelated, and that's why I use an Android, not iOS, because I could press desktop site and I could actually view desktop, desktop version, get around all those.
Yes, I am using an Android. Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Two Android. We're probably the only ones on the call here, but yeah, no, I think a lot of organizations that are looking for that speed to lead do have a mobile optimized website. I just think it's crucial, especially having a web chat that's right there. But to your point, yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of any desktop versus mobile, but I think mobile is just incredibly important because, especially depending on who your customer is,
but I'm always thinking I'm losing money, like in B2B world, right? And I think other businesses are also losing money, and so this is why I was thinking to myself, is there something that is being sort of done differently, or like the mobile lens is looked at differently potentially? Whether that's when it comes to speed is, let's say maybe speed is more important than mobile. I just wasn't sure, because I remember when I used to work at Google, like 10 years ago, and like mobile and speed, like everything is super important. So, and I'm just curious how it has, I guess, changed when it comes to all the data today, and kind of agentic systems kind of there maybe. But yeah, like today, like we literally barely make any money on mobile, because the user doesn't, can't use the software, so naturally they're not going to use that. So I'm thinking in my head, how do I actually monetize the mobile traffic effectively? So that's like another leaky bucket kind of, in my head, that I still, for example, haven't solved, right? So,
yeah. And just kind of, I guess, double clicking on that. I mean, I think the behavior and intent of a mobile versus a desktop user is just going to be markedly different.
Yeah.
Whereas on mobile, maybe intent is at its peak, but attention span is at the lowest, versus desktop, they're more likely in a research phase or evaluation phase. So, you bring up such a great point. Where do you serve a different experience for mobile versus desktop, depending on the type of person?
I would love to convert my users mobile somehow, collect, I would say collect the bacon mobile, but like, I know it's not possible, because the software doesn't work on mobile, right? So like, how do you do that? So I haven't figured out, what is the, what should I do in mobile? What should be the speed? How do I respond? What do I do? I have a ton of mobile traffic. It's just that there's like zero revenue associated to the mobile traffic. So, but yeah, people probably researching, etc. I just was curious, what do you do in that case? But yeah,
we might have stumbled on our next webinar topic. Look at that.
Frank. Yeah, how do you 10x your revenue on mobile traffic? Everybody has mobile traffic, and so that's why I'm just curious enough. So, yeah.
No, 100%. That's insightful. Thank you. So yeah, we were on that slide, and at this point, I think all of us have some sort of numerical score, based off some of those business issues before. And so if you scored a 0 to 2, yeah, I think that's good news that you might not need to necessarily bring on agentic technology. Your focus should potentially stay on staying manual, and just tighten up the playbooks. Can you get reply time from 5 minutes to 3? Your job as a business owner is just optimize the human powered system you have, and maybe just use some basic automation tools, maybe not so much agentic. But if I were to guess, besides you, Frank, of course, you're a very savvy, business owner.
I'm in the first bucket,
There we go. You're probably
I have 1 point, I think, so
you're proving us wrong here, but I'm totally kidding. But I think the reality is most of us are going to fall in the 3 to 6.
Yes.
Which could potentially be a signal that the current approach is just not scalable and actively costing you conversion and revenue. And I think your job is just to stop trying to perfect a broken system. And instead of turning off ad spend and thinking about adding people, in different time zones, and maybe think about potentially piloting a blended model. And when we say blended, we mean a mix of agentic AI and humans. Because again, we're not trying to remove humans from the equation. I hope not. I'm in sales. I don't want to be replaced. But blended is where you strategically combine the best of both worlds. The speed and the consistency and the scalability of an AI SDR with the emotional intelligence and nuance of a human sales team. Nothing beats a human interaction, but if we could capitalize on that sooner, it's not we're not trying to replace SDRs. I can't reiterate that enough, but we really want to empower them to be more effective and focus on what's more important, building the relationships and closing deals. It really, these past couple of years, Frank, have been crazy because this is a complete fundamental shift in how we think about the sales funnel. Completely different. If we had a conversation 5 years ago where I told you can scale at a relatively fixed cost, you'd ask me if I've been taking my medication lately, right? But it's not a lot. We're not letting the machine. We're letting the machines do what they're good at, and we're letting humans do what they're good at. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So that's something similar that we preach on the outbound front as well. Because you just can't remove the humans in full. But what you want to do is help every business to reduce the pressure to hire more headcount, right? So through the blend, right? But you still need to have humans in the loop for various different reasons. So that is not going away. But what we are seeing, I think, all across the world, doesn't matter whether you're in the Bay Area or you're somewhere in Europe or Asia, whatever, you are seeing leaner and meaner teams, and that's exactly due to the tech that you guys have, because it's not anymore growth at all costs. It's about running profitable businesses these days. Unless you are like a pure AI LLM like OpenAI, that's maybe slightly different category, right? So they raise a ton of money all the time, and they can keep on burning. But businesses today are typically, also if you're VC backed, that typically are being asked to become significantly more profitable and efficient, and it is possible due to all the new tech that's available in the market. And actually, I also see a lot of companies these days, when they use agentic systems, both on inbound and outbound, they actually don't even raise money. They don't need to raise money. So we also see that behavior, that there's less need on to raise VC money actually to accelerate the business, because they are able to just run significantly more capital efficient business. And that's because they do have agentic systems baked into the systems. And so
and I think that just lends itself to potential changes in the VC model, and everything is it just cascades.
Yeah, like the other way I look at it, so it's not just about sales, but just generally in your business. So let's say when I have a problem, I typically just think about how do I solve the problem from agentic lens. So sort of agent first, like human second. Like I always think about, if I can get an off-the-shelf solution, an agentic solution, and plug that in and drive output from that like relatively fast, like this is the best course of action. If for some reason the software doesn't exist in the market, then yes, I will go down what I call the human path. But I always, like today, I highly advise everybody, think about implementing agentic system first, and then think about actually hiring humans as the kind of the next step. Because a lot of cases I also see people hire humans and they forget even to implement the agentic system. So
no, it's that, and again that just kind of ties off this idea that right now we're at the point where the machines are not going to take over our lives; they're just going to help us do a better job.
Yeah, I also tell other folks, just this also will help you to avoid having layoffs in your business as well, right? So because ultimately you don't want to have that, and that's why you want to make sure you have these systems in place. Yeah,
100%.
Awesome.